The Seattle Sounders' brand new 2025 kit is here. Inspired by two traditional Southern Coast Salish weaving techniques, twilling and twinning. These techniques, passed down through generations, honor the resilience, deep-rooted ties, and creativity that define the cultural fabric of this region. The striking deep blue jersey will be worn by the Sounders for the next 2 seasons to honor the club's deep connection with the Puget Sound and shared responsibility as stewards of the greater Salish Sea watershed. Backing up that commitment, the Seattle Sounders will donate up to $50,000 to benefit community charities around the Puget Sound region. To get your very own Salish Sea kit, visit lobbingscorchers.com/kit. That's lobbingscorchers.com/KIT.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome in to another episode of Under the Lights. Got a great show for you all planned this evening. We're going to be talking some Seattle Sounders versus St. Louis City SC. Earlier today, I caught up with Jake Koenig of Ball Watching, a St. Louis City SC show. We weren't able to get the timing aligned to do it live like I usually do. But Jake was gracious enough to block off some time earlier today to get the preview done. So I'm going to play that for you guys here at the start of the show. And then we're going to be doing some Seattle Sounders injury updates, unfortunately. I think Brian Schmetzer said it. I think he put it about correctly when he was asked about the injury updates at training today, when he said it's not good news. It's definitely not good news. It's actually there were multiple items of not good news on that front. Jordan Morris out 6 weeks. Mike's a little hot. Sorry, going to turn that down. How's that hunch punch? Is that better? Jordan Morris out 6 weeks. And then it also was revealed today that Jesus Ferreira is dealing with it. All right, great. Sorry about that. Jesus Ferreira is dealing with an adductor injury that has him questionable for this game coming up against St. Louis. I don't think he's going to play. I mean, we're going to talk about that. But confirmed out without Jordan Morris for the weekend, and I imagine probably without Jesus Ferreira. And we're going to have to wait and see what the exact severity is for Jesus Ferreira. But, that's not great. That's not great. In an ideal world, you want Jordan Morris and Jesus Ferreira to be healthy. But after we talk about all that, I want to do a tinker around maybe with the lineup builder a little bit with you guys. And we can talk about how to line it up with this injury situation. And then we're going to be talking some Concacaf Champions Cup, the Vancouver Whitecaps folks. I guess they're just the best. They're just the best. They're the greatest team I've ever seen. Sebastian Berhalter is he the best number 8 in the league? Like, he might just be the best number 8 in the league. He is playing some of the best ball I've seen an individual player play in MLS this season. Like, I don't even think that is a hyperbolic take. So we're going to talk about some Whitecaps, Inter Miami, and I guess just kind of my takeaways from how that series went. 5-1 on aggregate for the Whitecaps. The Whitecaps are on some crazy stuff right now. Like, they're going into these games where any normal MLS team would be up against it, an uphill battle. Whether it's these Liga MX matchups that they've had in CONCACAF Champions Cup, that they're just they had the crazy series against Monterrey, but that was not, they created an epic moment with that series. And this Inter Miami series, were they even sweating like while they were running around? Like, they really I don't know. It's impressive. So going to talk about that and whatever broader takeaways there might be from that, and also just about their chances of actually winning Champions Cup this year, which I think are really good. Like, they might actually just win it. I keep waiting for the shoe to drop and for them to come back down to earth. I don't think it's going to happen. think the Whitecaps are just the best. So yeah, it's gonna be a good show, jam-packed show. How are you all doing? All I got is Hunch Punch in chat right now. Thank you for the audio shout, Hunch Punch. It's been an eventful day for me. Had a lot going on today. This morning, I went and spoke at a career day. My friend who I play rec league softball with is a middle school teacher. And she asked me, she said, Ari, we're doing career day at my school. And one of the most requested industries was the sports industry. Will you come mentor the youth? That was actually my term. She was making fun of me for using that term. I said, hell yeah, I'll mentor the youth. So I went to a middle school in Kirkland, talked to the kids about the sports industry. And it was just funny because, I haven't been on a middle school campus probably since I was in middle school, and talked to these like 8th graders. And like I would say most of them were relatively attentive, but then you had kids in there who were just like blatantly like falling asleep and stuff. Didn't you guys request this? Thought I was requested to be here. But anyway, so that was a fun little adventure I had to Kirkland this morning. And then right when I got back, had to lay down my interview with Jake Koenig, which I'm about to play for you guys right now. Then I worked my normal day on the desk. So definitely a big day for your boy out here. But okay, the first thing I was going to do tonight, guys, is play this interview with Jake. Go subscribe to Ball Watching. That's his show. He plugs it in this interview, but definitely support them. They're doing great work. They do cool stuff. They've been doing a lot of the stuff that we're trying to do, like going out in the community, doing live shows, meeting people. They do that in St. Louis, and they do it for charity. They raise money for charity, so it's for a good cause. So great show. Definitely go sub to all their stuff. And I'm about to play the interview. We got people popping up in chat now, so I'll get to these before I play this interview. And yeah, as the show goes along, as always, feel free to drop your topics, questions, observations, agendas, grievances in chat. Try to get to as many as I can, as long as you're not fully crashing out. No crashing out. Jesse says, yeah, at some point I'm going to need someone to explain to me how Vancouver got so much better. I can't explain it. I can't explain it because usually in a situation like this where there's this much year-over-year improvement, there's like a big move maybe that got made, like roster-wise. And they didn't really have that. They made like a minor addition or two, I think. And then I think what it really might be is Jesper Sorensen, this new coach they hired. I think he's him. I think he might just be him. Like, it's like we were all sad when Vanni Sartini went, right? We loved Vanni Sartini. He was Italian, and he gave funny quotes for us who loved blazing hot press conferences. He gave some of the most blazing hot. And also, he seemed like a vibe merchant. It seemed like the players really liked him. It seemed like the culture he created was actually good and positive, and that he had them at least in a good direction. I think I criticized that firing when they made it and they hired this guy Sorensen, who I'd never heard of. Clearly that was the best move they've ever made as a club, because this guy has them playing like the best team I've ever seen. They look like Vancouver Real Whitecaps Madrid out there every single week against every team they play. So I think if I had to try and explain it, it's that they're getting a lot of breakout performances all at the same time. Like Berhalter has not been this good throughout his career. He's been like a solid average to above average number 8 in the league. He's the best number 8 in the league right now. Sebastian Berhalter is the best number 8 in Major League Soccer. That's not something that I made happen. That's just the reality that we live in. I don't know what to do with that information. You all can do with that information what you will. Sebastian Berhalter is the best number 8 in Major League Soccer. This weekend would be a great call-up for Osaze de Rosario, but hard to use him before the Portland match next week. Osaze, it looks like it's that time. I don't know how much first-team run he's going to be getting, and we're going to talk about it later, but I just don't know what else you do at this point as far as like the number 9 depth. We were debating anyway what they were going to do there because of how rough it's looked with Ferreira trying to play at that spot at times this season. I'm not as chalk that idea maybe as some others are. I think that I think we're early enough in the Ferreira era where we still honestly can't definitively say necessarily what he can and can't do. I know there are things that haven't clicked so far. I don't think that means that they necessarily never will, especially because, I guess I'm a believer in his adaptability and IQ and ability to figure things out eventually. And especially playing on this team with other high IQ players, I still think there's a possibility that they could figure out a way to run it where I don't think he'll ever play a like pure target 9 type position, but I do think him as more of a false 9 could work. They just haven't figured out how to run that, especially with while playing with Rusnak. So, but back to the original point, Osaze de Rosario is I think he's going to get called up by necessity. He's banging in goals in MLS Next Pro. He's the only really real option at the position who plays that position in even a similar mold as a Jordan Morris or a Danny Musovski. No one else really does that. So it's the Osaze show. No one can humble you like a room full of 7th graders. Exactly, man. Exactly. They were, for the most part, they were fine. There was one kid in particular who was just, well, I was trying to present, man. Come on. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to give you advice. Mentor the youth. Vancouver did their job. Now Mexico needs to do its job. There can be only one. That's okay. That's actually a good question. Like, do you want them to win? I know it might not be a popular take. I kind of do. I know they're a rival. I get it. Like, you should never root for another Cascadia team to win every trophy, but it's not about that. It's not about that for me. It's about it's about getting rewarded for being like a real team. For putting in the work, that should be rewarded. The way that they do it is the best way to do it, in my opinion. Building an authentic team that actually, that's the thing. Inter Miami, they had the bigger stars. They had more money. Whitecaps are a real team. That's a real team. See what happens when Messi and the Barca boys go up against a real team? That's what happens. 5-1 aggregate. So I don't know. I honestly, my honest opinion is I don't really care that much who wins it. If Tigres or who? Oh man, blanking on who the other team is. But whatever Liga MX team, if they win it, that's whatever. I've seen that happen a million times. But I'm not going to be salty about it if the Whitecaps win. I'm not. Maybe that's not a popular take. And I will say it would. I feel like, I don't know, chat, what do you think of this? It would be different if it was Portland, I think. Sometimes people give me a hard time about like a take like that because I'm not like technically from Seattle, so I don't really feel the regional pride, and maybe that's why I can say something like I don't mind if the Whitecaps win CCC. To me, it's like Portland is the one that draws the like root for failure for them, chaos and turmoil at absolute all costs. Whereas Vancouver is definitely a rival. Any game where you're playing them, you're trying to beat the hell out of them. But do we really care if the Whitecaps have success in like that way that you would if Portland did, I feel like it's different. Exactly. Canadian national team fan is rooting for Vancouver. It's also my country. Vancouver are playing so well so someone can buy them. That's the other crazy thing. Their organization is like in flux. Like their owner, like earlier before the season started, I'm pretty sure their ownership group was like, we're selling because we don't care enough about this to actually put an elite team together. Maybe they shouldn't sell. Isn't it Steve Nash? Steve, don't sell. You apparently did the most amazing job of any owner in the league because the squad looks unbelievable. Like, I don't know. Cruz Azul team that took Seattle out. So it's Cruz Azul or Tigres. Yeah. I mean, if one of those two teams wins it, that means nothing to me. Like, that's pretty much something like that is pretty much what happens every year. So I guess the other interesting question that comes out of this is, would you root for like any MLS team? I guess we were talking about this when the Crew were in it and they made the final. And I will say in that situation, I was low-key rooting for them to lose in a way that I don't feel about Vancouver. So why is that? Why was I rooting actively against the Crew? Because I think that was before the Sean Zawatsky thing, when we got into the whole big thing with the Crew fan base. God love them. Shout out to the Columbus Crew. And I'm pretty sure Noah and I were both openly talking about how we were rooting against the Crew. I think in part for the novelty to like keep Seattle as the only team that's won it. But for me, it was not just that. Like, I don't know if I care if another team wins it because, well, first of all, another team is going to win it eventually. It might happen this year. But like the whole significance of Seattle winning it was mostly because they were the first one. No matter who wins it in the future, Seattle's the one who did it first. So that's it. I don't think it undermines the bragging rights at all for any other MLS club to win it. The bragging rights of being the first are eternal. That's the beauty of it. It doesn't matter if another team wins it. They didn't do it first. They just copied Seattle. Seattle invented winning CONCACAF Champions League / Cup. If the Whitecaps do it, they're just riding coattails. But I don't know. If any other MLS team had to win CCC, Vancouver is the least bad option. That's how I feel. And honestly, I respect anyone's right to lean on the rivalry component to justify rooting against the Caps. That's valid. But I don't know. You know, I go by like gut feel, what I feel in my heart on these things. In my heart, I'm not like rooting against Vancouver. I was rooting against the Crew. I would be rooting against the Timbies in this situation. Absolutely. Them making it to a CCC final and losing, that would be funny. LAFC, obviously, I mean, they've done it a couple times, and that's been phenomenal. Every time that they've crashed out of CCC, I've definitely rooted for and enjoyed that. The Caps just don't. We were joking about how like the Whitecaps are this year's Galaxy for our show. You know how we had the whole thing of how we liked watching the Galaxy last year. Jokingly called ourselves a Galaxy podcast. Some people took legitimate offense to that bit. You're not a Galaxy podcast. We don't tune in to listen to you talk about the LA Galaxy. You talk about the Sounders only. And then we would proceed to keep talking about the LA Galaxy. Now I guess it's just the Caps. I think there's a difference. Like you can dislike a team and still respect them. I think. Like any game where Seattle's playing Vancouver, yeah, beat the hell out of them, regional rival. But can I not feel that way and then also be like, you know what, I respect the Caps? I do. They've done it the right way. Best team in the league. And another thing I'll say is I think that fan base deserve a team like this. They've never had a team like this. They've never had it. They've had some pretty good teams over the years. They've been a playoff type team for, I would say, most of the time I've covered the league. They're like a fringe relevant, almost a contender, not quite a contender, usually make the playoffs, lose kind of early in the playoffs, maybe win a series, maybe win a game here and there, never really contend. Their fans have never had this, and they have been undyingly loyal to that club. If you go to BC Place, it's not always packed to the brim, but it's honestly one of my favorite venues to travel to in MLS because Vancouver is a really cool city and it's in a really cool location. So that fan base, I think they deserve to get to root for a winner. This is a Lobbing Snowballs podcast. Why Seattle should win a second one before anyone else gets one. That would have been great. It seems like this would have been the year to do it, but I don't know. I'm curious to see how this final goes because the way the Caps look right now, nobody is messing with them. I don't know. Maybe Inter Miami is not as good as we thought, but they've been top of the league all season. They've been top of the league all season, and like I said, it wasn't just like the Caps beat them. They were running training drills out there. Like, so the goals they're scoring right now, it's like champagne footy every single time. They're scoring bangers. They're racking up the XG with these sequences of play, with these buildups, with the 1-2. Everyone knows where everyone's going to be every time they have the ball. It's like watching 11 dudes that all have the same mind. They're connected telekinetically. It's unreal. I was watching, they don't even have to have their first choice 11 to do it. They don't even need Scottish Messi to do it. Anyone they put out there does it. They went into Minnesota United, Allianz Field. Pretty good team this year. Definitely not bad. Hard road trip, no matter how good or bad they are. Threw their second team out there because they got CCC. Beat the shit out of the Loons. Wasn't even a game. Literally wasn't even a game. Minnesota United starters at home had nothing on the Whitecaps B team. They brought in some of their guys later, but even before that, looked like men playing boys. And it was Minnesota's first team at home against the Whitecaps B squad. They handled Inter Miami in the first leg of the semifinals in CCC as easily as you can. Beat the shit out of the Loons. Went to Fort Lauderdale. Took a 3-1 without breaking a sweat. Flew home. That's been the Caps last week and a half. Jesus Christ. Here's an interesting take from Reese. Let's talk about this. If the Caps win the CCC, the Sounders CCL will become even more irrelevant. See, I don't think so because of what I said. You can always pull the card of doing it first before everyone else. And I also think the reality is that Seattle wasn't going to be the only MLS team to win it forever. It kind of looked like they would be the last couple years. It honestly looked like the last couple years that what Seattle did was a fluke and an outlier. And I was like, man, maybe this will actually be like a 72 Dolphins situation where just no one else ever does it, you know? But realistically, the league is improving. There are teams every year that can do it, that are good enough at the top ends of their rosters to do it. But You're still fighting an uphill battle every year, unless you're the Vancouver Whitecaps. But I don't know. I think that the Sounders could be on the same page as the Caps are, since Seattle has had the same basic squad of players for 5 years now. You mean that the Caps have been running back the same squad as well? Because I feel like they kind of have. But they brought in, I mean, they've hit on their DPs. They don't need Scottish Messi, but when he plays, he's a hit. Pedro Vite, one of the best players in the league. If there was actual justice and ball knowledge behind MVP voting, like a guy like that would legitimately be MVP discussion. But he'll make best 11. If Pedro Vite plays this all year, he should and probably will make best 11. Regional dominance. Yeah, that's one way to spin it. Cascadia runs Concacaf. You want Concacaf? You have to go through the northwest of North America. I like that spin. And you couldn't see, this is what I'm saying. You couldn't, if Portland, like say Portland did it, would anyone be saying, oh yeah, Cascadia pride with that? No, but I feel like it's okay if it's the Whitecaps. It's fine. If people disagree with that, that's fine. I feel like it's okay if it's the Whitecaps. Sounders are going to 2 Club World Cups and getting $10 million for winning CCL, so I'd say that win was pretty damn relevant. Those are other reasons why it's it's relevant enough that they qualified for like 1 World Cup off it, and they were like, well, let's give them 2 because we need a couple MLS clubs, and that's as good a reason as any to put them back in. So they actually squeezed 2 Club World Cup appearances out of it, which you can say that that's just novelty, but like there's a ton of money on the line with this Club World Cup. A lot of money. So it actually has a chance to make, like, if they go into this Club World Cup and actually play well and take a result or two, they get millions of dollars. So even if it's riding the coattails of one that you won twice, I mean, the money is real. So can't deny that. Herc Gomez keeps saying Vancouver winning was bad for the league. I hate ESPN soccer coverage. What was his let's talk about this take. I see what he's getting at. Let's talk about this take. It's bad for the league because the league needs Messi and the Barca boys to win everything. Because then people who don't pay attention to MLS regularly their eyeballs will be on it, and the league will get more pop. Man, fuck that. It's not the Vancouver Whitecaps problem. What's good for the league? If you want to make the final and be good for the league, beat the Vancouver Whitecaps. Bad for the league? Nah. It's great for the league. It's great for the league. It shows that if you value team building, having an identity, a culture, youth development, building a strong infrastructure and an organization, you don't have to buy Messi and the Barca boys. You can beat Messi and the Barca boys because you have a real-ass team. Showing that's good for the league. It should be. Maybe casuals that would tune in for just Messi won't. But you know what? What's really good for the league is having organizations like the Vancouver Whitecaps who are well run, who are actually about it, who don't just talk about it. They go out and like do what they say they're going to do. And it's not just like doing what Atlanta and Toronto do and dropping hella transfer fees. having good, stable, well-run, good clubs and organizations that can go beat these juggernaut teams, that's good for the league. Disc golfer, member for 4 months. Appreciate you, man. If Messi winning is good for the league, why would Messi not simply play better? Exactly. Doesn't he care about the league? Doesn't he care about what's good for the league? Why did he lose to the Vancouver Whitecaps 5-1 on aggregate? Why was his team like high key, not even really competitive with the Vancouver Whitecaps? I'm telling you, they made that look easy. They were having fun out there. They got that series to the point where they were the team that was just like trying cool stuff because they were so far ahead and knew they were going to win, and they're just playing with so much confidence. That's how that series went. Like they were not holding on for dear life, absorbing pressure or any of that. They just beat their ass. I'm not sure if the Whitecaps host. That was TBD last time I heard about it. I honestly don't know. They should. I don't know why. Not exactly sure how that gets determined, actually. But they should, because they're... I mean, I haven't really watched the Tigres Cruz Azul series, but I was talking to Nico about it on kickoff on Monday, and he was like, yeah, it was bad. Like, they don't look good. It was like an actively bad game that I watched. Actively bad game. Like, especially if the Whitecaps host, they might be like favored. They might actually be favored in this scenario. Are they playing right now, Jake? I should know that. Oh my God, they are 0-0 at halftime. Wow, what a series! What a clash of Liga MX's juggernauts. What a clash of juggernauts. These teams don't stand a chance against the Vancouver Whitecaps. They don't stand a chance. Hot take, it's bad for the monetary growth of the league, and it's 100% MLS's fault for having Messi on such a poorly run organization as Miami. Well, I mean, there's a couple things at play there. Like, MLS didn't decide to put Messi on Inter Miami. He wanted to go there because he's I think, as I understand it, a lot of it had to do with that he's boys with David Beckham, who's like one of the majority owners of Inter Miami. So Messi himself kind of sought out that the whole only reason that he came to the league was that, I think. And then you really can't, I don't really argue with what Inter Miami did from there. They pulled off the coup of all coups that no one ever thought an MLS team would be able to do. David Beckham, they leveraged that. They leveraged that Miami is a fun city to live in if you're extremely wealthy, which Lionel Messi, pretty wealthy. They leveraged that. They leveraged David Becks. They convinced Messi to come there. They did. So fair play. And honestly, fair play signing the Barca boys. That's like one of the benefits you get when you pull off a move like that. Especially that move in particular, like everyone's going to want to play there. And that's what happened. The Barca boys all went there, and, you know, we all made jokes about how they're old and washed. For a lot of the time that they've been in the league, they have been destroying the competition. When they're healthy and fit, which, you know, they're all 43, so it's not always. But like that Inter Miami team, when it's at its apex with all those boys, they play some of the best ball I've ever seen played in the league. I think, like, when they all first got there and that team really started firing, that's as high level footy as I've seen played in the league. Like, there's other candidates up there. I always reference 2019 LAFC or the Philly Union of a couple years ago when they had the plus 48 goal differential. Those are teams that had really good records and put up crazy numbers. So I don't know. Cheers for the $2 if you tuna. Appreciate you. They also, Inter Miami also, that's what I was going to say. Inter Miami also, they didn't only leverage the Barca boys with that stuff. They leveraged a lot of elite South American prospects. Not just like random dart throw guys that you're hoping hit in MLS, like guys like Diego Gomez, who they sold for what, 20 something million dollars. The Redondo kid was one of the most like sought after prospects in the world. They got this Ecuadorian forward that I like just learned about, who is apparently the best player ever. They put him on. He has barely played this season because he's 18. They put him in a game when they were rotating for Champions Cup, and he like immediately scored a goal. So their roster, I mean, it's good. It's stacked. But, you know, like, I see what you're saying in a sense, Steve, of that wasn't earned through, like, building a foundation and, like, a solid organization and then reaping the benefits from that. They basically cheated. If you get Messi, you're basically cheating, because then everyone's going to want to go to your team, and you put the Barca boys in there, and there are games where they just look unstoppable. But see, that's the thing. That might only take you so far. Turn the top dial on the first channel of the board to the left a little bit. Okay. Is this better? Sorry, I was messing with it because I had technical issues earlier with my interview, okay? Let me know if that's not good. Miami started their downfall when they sold Yedlin. I don't know. I really didn't see it as a downfall until yesterday. Getting run by the Whitecaps 5-1, as good as the Whitecaps are, that's like that's a tough look for Inter Miami. How about that? How about that? All right. Well, with that issue solved, I'm about to play you guys some more troubled audio. Gonna play you my interview with Jake Koenig of St. Louis, of Ball Watching, St. Louis City SC show. I will preemptively warn you and apologize. I recorded this interview. It was my first time using our streaming services record function, and got through the whole thing, got the recording which I was super paranoid about, was super proud of myself. And then I listened to it back, and it turned out my mic, so I don't know, it wasn't on. So it sounds like I'm talking in a Zoom call. So you don't need to put in chat that my mic wasn't on. I know, I don't sound good. But Jake is a professional, so he had a mic, and that's honestly the important thing, because the whole point of it is to get his takes on St. Louis City SC. So as long as you can hear those, I think that it's fine. But I am sorry that my audio for this interview was chalked. But anyway, I'm going to play it right now. This is my interview from earlier today that I did with Jake Koenig of Ball Watching, and that's a really great place for it to be frozen. I just have to find, oh my God. All right. Let me see if I can, there we go. Here we go. All right, very excited to welcome in our next guest for our opponent preview. I've been bringing on shows that cover Seattle's upcoming opposition every single week. And this week, we have got Jake Koenig. Is that the correct pronunciation?
You got it. You got
Jake Koenig from Ball Watching, a St. Louis City SC podcast and YouTube show. Jake, thank you so much for taking the time to pre-record this with me. How are you doing?
I'm good. All right. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to the match this weekend. Always a pleasure to take on the Sounders. And I have a connection to the club. I had a good buddy growing up, and he was a Bruin. So Will Bruin, it runs in kind of a family friend circle. Yeah.
Oh, no way. That is a highly popular Seattle Sounders connection. And he is from St. Louis. And I always thought he might end his career at St. Louis because of that connection. But that's a funny connection. Jake, looking forward to talking about St. Louis City SC and getting into this game with you. But before we do that, I did want to give you a chance to let our audience know about your show and the work you guys are doing. You're doing great work, by the way. I dove into your content. You guys have got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, you do your normal show, but it looks like you got like community events going on, and, like, charity stuff. So feel free to let everyone know where to find your stuff, and also just in general about your show and what you do.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. So we're at Ball Watching STL on social media. So Twitter, Instagram, you can find us there. Obviously Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you want to find us. But yeah, we're a St. Louis City SC, oriented podcast, come World Cup or come, big tournaments. We try to bring in some commentary on those as well. But yeah, we do a lot of things. Obviously the podcast is our core focus. We've been doing this for the last couple of years, I think a year out before our first, inaugural season. And, there's been some up and downs on that side of things, but we also do, content creation across the board. But yeah, we have a charitable event that we do once a year at the end of the year that kind of serves as our time to give back and use, how many blessings we've received doing this show and try to make an impact. And we're working on and aligned with a local organization here in St. Louis that's looking at head and neck cancers, which Justin, my co-host, and I both have connections to personally. So we're always delighted to do that. And things always going better for us when the team is winning. This season has been a little bit difficult to start, and so was last. So we're finding our way around, though.
Everyone in chat, go subscribe to Ball Watching right now. Give them your support. All right, Jake, let's get into this matchup. I've been bringing on guests to cover the opposing teams every week, and what I like to do to start it out is I like to hit you with my outside perspective on the team as a neutral observer, and then you can tell me if my perception aligns with what's actually happening on the ground from someone who covers the team every single day. So St. Louis City SC, my perception, I'm actually curious about this one because I'm honestly not sure if my perception is accurate. I follow the whole league close enough where usually I feel like I have a pretty good idea, but I'm not positive on this one. So my perception right now of St. Louis City SC, obviously bringing in a new coach, like you mentioned, results-wise, a pretty difficult start to the season. And from where I sit, it seems like a contributing factor to that is it does not seem like this team gives a rip about scoring goals right now. It seems like the style is very much defensive oriented, like first and foremost, keep the clean sheet and not a lot of goals coming offensively. And, my take on any team that has that kind of style or identity is it's fine if you're winning and you're pulling results and you're getting points. I mean, God knows the Seattle Sounders went through multiple stretches of last season where they were honestly pulling results and points in kind of a similar way. It was a lot of 1-0s, 0-0s. But to me, it seems like this team has not really figured out how to score goals consistently yet this season. Although in the last game against LAFC, which is obviously a very difficult opponent, difficult road game, they did score 2 goals in that game, but that was the first multi-goal game of the season. Is that perception of it relatively accurate, or would you amend anything with that?
Yeah, no, I think especially for an outsider, you're definitely going down the right path. I would say between, bringing on head coach Olaf Melberg and, totally trying to change the identity of this team from what we've been used to through the first 2 years with kind of shifting away from the super high press, counter press system, energy drink soccer and more into, I think what he would like to do, which is with our back three and try to work more in progression, have a little bit more semblance of that versus what we've been used to. You have not seen that, right? Yet, I would say this season, you maybe seen glimpses of it if you've watched these games closely. But I think what he's been bogged down in is just trying to manage us through this injury crisis that we're in. And I think slowly getting our way out of, but, missing some key players and contributors through most of the season so far. A lot in our back line, as well as Berkey been out for the last couple of weeks. Leuven been attending some personal matters. And so they've kind of all come in the defensive area. And ironically, defense has been one of the better areas because we've had some guys popping in and out. And I think in the meantime, he's just trying to see us and get some stability into the team. And I think defensively, that's where the focus has been. But we've kind of thrown the baby out with the bathwater, and the progression, the offense has been totally lacking. For a couple different reasons, I would say, but I think injuries have been really difficult. So it's hard to really say where I think we're at right now because this team is not the finished product from a personnel perspective. And I don't mean we're signing guys. I just mean we haven't seen what I would call our best 11 or even close to it so far this season. So, the verdict will be out, but it hasn't been pretty. I will say that the fans are getting a little bit squirmy in the seats, and you want to see goals. You want to see something to be proud of. And it just really hasn't been that yet.
This last LAFC game, I admittedly didn't catch all of it, but they did get a multi-goal game in that game against a really good team in a tough environment. Like when you look at that game in particular, what did it seem like there was anything different about how they were playing or that they unlocked anything, or was it more a situation where they poked a couple against the run of play and they didn't necessarily deserve to get the multi-goal game? How did you see, was that a sign of progress or fluke?
I think it's a mixed bag. It would like many results for us this season because the first half, we came out for the draw. The first half was let's just survive to halftime. And we survived by the skin of our teeth. I mean, Bouanga is just an absolute nightmare. And he was for the first half, even though he didn't show up on the score sheet. And then the second half, we didn't, I think we might have had a shot during one shot during the first half. And that was on target, but a low XG opportunity. And then you get to the second half, we switch out of our back three and into a back four, which we haven't really even done this season. And obviously when you trade a defender for an attacker and you make a sub like that at half, you're going to hopefully give a little more juice in the attack. And we saw that. That definitely went a little bit better from an attacking perspective, but we also saw defensively, I think, one of our worst halves in terms of expected goals against all season. So there's trade-offs. You're going to expect to do better on the score sheet when you're devoting more numbers and attention into the attack. So that you can take home and be happy with. That second goal we scored was just a crapshoot off a set piece where it's bouncing off of everyone and it finally caroms in to the net. But the first goal was something to be happy about, and we'll take goals. I mean, we'll take goals anywhere we can get them at this point in the season, but we were carved open plenty of times. And I think to escape that match, we were up in the dying minutes had it not been for that equalizer and some awful defending towards the end of the match. But getting 3 points from that would have been unbelievable, absolute robbery. Coming with one, I think is still a nice result for us. Just considering how it went, it was a crazy game. But yeah, drawing LAFC on the road, on paper, I would say pretty solid result, but you're going to want to string more of those together because, again, like you said, multi-goal games are few and far between for us at this point. We did that to LA Galaxy away from home earlier in the season, but those have just been not coming easy for us so far this year.
Yeah, I think the frustrating part about that from the St. Louis perspective was that it was like seconds, right, from actually getting all 3 points there. And then was it Bouanga on the I mean, he has done that to many a team. And I mean, I know even from my perspective, Seattle has gotten the better of LAFC away in the playoffs a couple times over the last few years. But during any given regular season game, it's always a struggle. And you always take that draw, but to get that close and then have to settle for the draw at the end, that's tough. I wanted to circle back on something that you mentioned earlier, which is just kind of the vibe of the fan base and the city. St. Louis City FC came in and kind of took the league by storm that first year, won the West, which I think they're the first expansion team to ever do that. So I remember that season. It was a phenomenal season. And we actually, on our show, kind of inadvertently ruffled some St. Louis City feathers because the St. Louis City is actually the genesis of a now popular segment that we have called Fraud Watch, which we didn't say it. I intended to be derogatory. The whole idea of Fraud Watch is just like, is a team's results matching up with how they're actually playing? And it was a national storyline that year of how it felt like St. Louis, if you looked at the underlying numbers, it was more of an average team, but they just had this like magic team of destiny about them. And then Roman Berkey was going crazy, but they definitely captured the heart of the city that year with like how many results they were taking, starting out 5-0-0, which I think that was also a first for an expansion team. And then last year didn't go as well. This year's off to a bit of a tougher start, like you mentioned, not scoring that many goals. Where would you say like the vibe is at in terms of how the fan base is feeling right now with the city, and how are you feeling about that kind of magical early beginning sustaining itself? Is there any like concern that maybe that equity is running out at all, or are people still cloud ninety?
St. Louis is I would say, a fairly spoiled sports town. We've had a lot of winning here, even in my lifetime, a lot of winning with multiple World Series. We had the Stanley Cup here, obviously, as well. We got even the Rams, won the Super Bowl as well, and part of St. Louis. So the fans here like to see winning cultures. And I think to have this team come in 2023 like they did, arrive on the scene like that, and just shock the league. When you follow them, obviously the atmosphere was incredible, the new stadium, it was so much fun to be a part of. But when you really follow the team, you know that you're playing a little bit on house money with those underlying numbers and things just going right for you. We're getting all the bounces. We're way outperforming our expected goals. Guys are having seasons like you've never seen before, like Jared Stroud, I can remember. And you're bound to kind of come back down from that. And I think there's just been a hard time for a lot of the fans to adjust to the fact that St. Louis, to me, as a team, St. Louis City is not going to be a team that's fighting in your top 4 or your top 5 spots, every single year in the Western Conference. We may never win the Western Conference again in the regular season, which, by the way, that's not the goal. I think the goal is to go out and make a huge push in the playoffs and, ruffle some feathers there. I think that's more of the product to me. But I think it just kind of almost reset expectations a little bit by performing that well on the standings so early on in your tenure. So people now kind of think that that's where the bar should be. And I think the bar should be for us, like a year like this, is you've got to do everything you can to get back into the playoffs. And you've got to right the wrongs of what happened in 23, where we had that season, but we kind of ended the season in pretty rough form. And then, Sporting knocked us out in the first round. So to me, you've got to be a blue collar team like this town, like this city is. You got to be fighting and clawing for points and make your way into that playoff picture and see what happens from there. But it's been, like you said, big ups in the very beginning, followed by big trough last year. And I think this year we're looking for something probably right in the middle of that. When we turn around in October and we see how the season's gone, I'm hoping for somewhere right between those two types of seasons.
Jake, I just got one more for you, and then I'll get you out of here. I know you're a little pressed for time. Thank you so much for squeezing this in there. Really appreciate it. Basically, I just wanted to ask about your hopes and expectations for this game. Seattle went to St. Louis earlier this season, and St. Louis nicked a 1-0 on the Edward Lowen free kick, which, I mean, that guy's set pieces are just nasty. There wasn't much to be done about that, but shut Seattle out in that game, got a big win over a conference rival. But now the boys are coming to Lumen Field, which is not as tough a place to play for visiting teams in recent years, but historically has been considered one of the more difficult road trips in the league. So how are you sizing this one up? Would you be happy to see a one-pointer like at LAFC, or do you feel like this team is at a point where it's like, no, we need to win?
Yeah, if this match was at home, like, we're talking about our match we already played, this has got to be not like this is going to be an easy 3 points for us, but the expectation is we need to take 3 points here just to get this season going, really jumpstart it. I think going away to Lumen Field, and we haven't even scored against you guys away from home in our history as a club, that's a good starting point. See if we can breach that defense and make this a match. Justin and I did our predictions for this both before, I think earlier this week, and Justin predicted a 2-1, tight W. I had a 1-1 draw on my cards. I think it's be difficult for us to breach this defense, and I know you all are off to probably by your standards not the best start to the season either, but there's some injuries I think that could be opportunistic for us in terms of the timing of all of this. Obviously not great for you all, but I think it's going to be a really tight affair. I think both teams would really want to come away from this match with 3 points. So I'm hoping to see a really tight, even match, really competitive. But again, it's always hard away from home, especially that far away from home, and against Seattle, who I think is one of the most historied franchises, and always gonna be a tough team to beat. I don't care who's wearing the jersey; they're always going to give you your money's worth. So I feel optimistic for a good match. I think for a neutral fan, it could be pretty entertaining. But I think a point I would love to take away from home.
Jake, that's all I got for you. Thank you so much for the time. Real quick before you go, anything that you want to plug or shill that you got going at ball watching coming up here in the next week or so?
No, anyone that wants to hear about St. Louis City or give us a follow, we put out some I would say fairly unbiased, some fairly funny and engaging stuff on social media, even for your more casual MLS fans. But no, I just appreciate you having me on, Ari, and looking forward to a good match here. And if anyone wants to find us after or before the match, go to @ballwatchingstl on X or YouTube or Instagram. That's where we kind of live and breathe over there with our listeners and our fans. But I'm looking forward to a good one, man. It's always a fun time to play some of the bigger name franchises here on the West, and hopefully looking for a good match.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, thanks again for the time, and I'll hit you guys up soon. We'll collab some more, get you on for these future games, or maybe even we'll find another way to do it. But really appreciate, respect the work you guys are doing, and thanks for coming on.
That was Jake Koenig from Ball Watching, St. Louis City SC show. Really appreciate his time. I recorded that earlier today for anyone joining late. Sorry about the audio, my audio. Sorry. Won't happen again. But great stuff from Jake there. Again, they do a really good show. So if you're ever looking to learn about St. Louis City SC, definitely that's the number one place I would go. We'll get them on again soon. But yeah, I mean, most of what we were talking about was the season that St. Louis has had so far, which Seattle's playing a team that's really struggling to score right now, has been all season. So, from where I sit, the expectation should be to keep a clean sheet in this game. This team has been allergic to the net. They got João Klaus out there. I don't know if they're going to have Lowen, who's the guy who hit the free kick when these two teams played the first time around. I think he's been dealing with like an off-field matter, I want to say. So Seattle's going to be favored in this game, but, that only means so much. This is a team that Seattle's done pretty well against historically. They're 4-1-0. That the win that St. Louis got earlier this year was the first time they beat Seattle. And like Jake mentioned, St. Louis has never even scored in Seattle. So, like I said, Seattle's going to be favored, but they need to build on some of the positive steps that we've seen in the last few weeks. That's sort of what I'm looking at as a measuring stick for this game is building momentum, improving on that stuff. But that's going to be made pretty difficult with the current injury situation, which we're going to talk about right now. I'm going to play the Brian Schmetzer sound from training today, which, like I said at the top of the show, when he called it not good news, I would most certainly agree with that. But let's hear from Schmetz himself before I talk about it. Okay, sure.
Ryan. Just wanted to get your update on Jordan Morris and the MRI.
Not good news. Second MRI came back, and I'm glad we did it just to make sure there's some clarity. And again, there'll be some wiggle room, week here, week there, but it's probably 6 weeks. Then again, give or take, week here, week there, but it's the same spot. And so that's what they're concerned about. So, it's going to be a rehab. We'll get them back for, hopefully Club World Cup. And let's just see.
Any idea when it comes to the root cause, what was essentially missed that maybe felt like he was cleared, but it re-aggravated?
Missed. He was in 2 weeks of full training. So I don't know if I'd say miss. Stuff happens. It's sports. Things that we learned certainly are now throughout our transition period. We'll retake MRIs throughout the course of the rehab. So there's a positive where we're trying to get better. Jordan felt fine. He sprinted 98% of his max on multiple occasions. You think about the duration, the 30 minutes he played against Nashville, his total distance in sprint and VHID was higher than the 30 minutes he played, the 45 minutes he played in Colorado. So it wasn't like a drastic increase in sprint distance that happened. So we were turning over everything just to try and figure it out. And we'll try and get him back as fast as we can and as safely as we can.
He had been remarkably fit. We talked about it multiple times over the last year or two. Durable, right?
He is durable.
Yeah, it seemed like he had sort of rounded a corner where it was like he could just play every game, essentially. Yeah. Is there, I don't know, does that make it more frustrating, I guess? Does it make it more disappointing?
Yeah, of course. Well, he's a key component to our attack. Strong, powerful sprinter. He does a lot of good things for us. So, yes, it makes it frustrating. And, that's just life in MLS. We got to push forward. We got to, that next man steps up mentality, and we'll keep going.
What's his attitude been about?
Well, he obviously didn't have a good day yesterday, but he's a tough kid. He's already in there rehabbing, and he'll get after it, and he'll do the work.
I don't know if we saw him out here today or not, but Jesus was on the side yesterday. With any update on his injury situation?
Jesus is dealing with an adductor, and so I'm going to give him tomorrow to see if he can't get over it. And if he does, we'll get him on the field. But if not, then I'll, again, a little gun shy. I do not want to lose another attacking player, so that one's a little trickier for me.
Any other fitness-related issues out there that we should know about?
Nope. Jackson.
Right. And he's probably another couple weeks away.
Yeah. Paul, Jackson, those guys are on their programs.
Right.
It's a temple massager. It's a temple massager, chat. It's a temple massager. No Jordan for 6 weeks. And you have to imagine no Ferreira this weekend. He should not play Ferreira this weekend. Even if they think that there's not a risk that he'll pop the adductor. What if he does? What if they play him and then he does? That you can't have that. You can't have that right after you have a situation where Jordan came back from an injury, then immediately yanked his hammy again. So I'm going into this game as if there's going to be no Ferreira, which is unfortunate. It's not great. It's not great. I guess there's a few things to talk about with this. I'm sure we'll debate the tactics that they should go with and the lineups that they should go with ad nauseum in the coming weeks. A lot of the discourse I've seen around this today has been the I don't know if I want to call it conspiracy theory mongering. That might be too dismissive. But the consternation about supposedly how Seattle has more muscle injuries than other teams, and that why is that? What does it have to do with the medical staff? Does it have to do with how they train? Is it the turf? You know, everyone's got their theories. So here's my take on that. I really don't know. Really don't know. I'm not a doctor. And the other thing that I don't know is if the Sounders actually have statistically a greater amount of muscle injuries than other teams. I will tell you guys that every team thinks that they have the most injuries. Every team thinks that they have the most hamstring pulls. I think that there is it's really hard to say how much of it is anything specifically to do with Seattle and how much of it is that soccer is just a sport that has a lot of muscle injuries. You have to run a lot in this sport. And, I can't even really speak to that much. My background in the game isn't really from playing the game like some people, like Noah's is, like a lot of the fans is. I played when I was like, until I was like 12, and then I didn't play after that. And I got into the sport a little bit later on in my life. So I don't have personal experience with the frequency of a muscle injury that some people might have. But I do know that I played in the media game, which was at Lumen Field a couple times, and I ran way too much. I didn't like it. You run all the way to one end of the field with the ball, and then the other team takes it, and you got to run all the way to the other goddamn end of the field. What is this? Why do people play this? But in all seriousness, like, there's definitely part of that. Part of that is the reason why there's so many muscle injuries like this. It's because when you run that much at that speed, you're going to yank your hammy sometimes. Does it feel like Seattle has an above average amount of muscle injuries? Yeah, it does. I agree with that. But again, I don't know how much of that is actually statistically more than other teams, and how much of it is just what every team has to deal with. Especially, I do think that the injury rate in MLS is probably higher in general because of stuff like the travel and the crazy schedules you have to play, where you're playing in all these tournaments at the same time, and the squad depth maybe isn't set up for most clubs to handle that. That leads to injuries. And that's one reason why people's frustration with how Concacaf Champions Cup always ruins an MLS team's league season, seemingly. Like, people's frustration about that is valid in that way, because one of the reasons that Champions Cup always tanks your league season, unless you're the Vancouver Whitecaps, is because you're just playing so many games and you're kind of overextending. You end up overextending guys a lot. And I think, honestly, that's part of what happened with Jordan here is he was playing. Remember the first time he got injured, they were playing so many games, and it was in Champions Cup at Cruz Azul when he got hurt the first time, and he had been playing just every single game. Then he comes back. Seems like they thought he was fully ready to go, and then he re-aggravated it. So, like I said, I really don't know why. Like, hamstring FC is definitely a thing. It's definitely a thing. But as much as we reference that and talk about that, I don't know. Someone, is there a way to even run the numbers? Someone go look up all the hamstring injuries in the entirety of MLS over the last 5 years and extrapolate. Do the math. See if Seattle actually has more. Because honestly, guys, like, I don't really think that they do. I don't think that their muscle injuries are statistically above an average MLS team. I think injuries like that probably happen more in MLS in general. But, like, I don't know how much I buy into the training staff has to do with this. What is the training staff like? What would they do differently to stop a hamstring pull? I don't really know how. Like, I feel like people talk about the training staff, but then if you actually get into like what they could do to stop a hamstring pull, I don't know if there is anything. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Do we have any doctors in the chat? How do you tailor your training to not pull hamstrings? I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know. But either way, it sucks. It's frustrating. I think from what Schmetzer said, Club World Cup is probably the best case scenario for when he's going to be back. So let's talk about what that means. I'll tell you guys what that means. That means you ride the moose. You ride the moose. He's going to be... Moose is the most important guy on the team right now. Danny Musovski. Sebastian Berhalter is the best number 8 in MLS, and Danny Musovski is the most important player on the Seattle Sounders. What happens if Danny Musovski goes down? What happens then? What would they do? Caleb, I saw you advocating for false 9 Rusnak. Not a bad take, man. Not a bad take. They might try that. Noah and I have been talking about not even false 9 Rothrock, real 9 Rothrock. I'm down, and I'm not gonna remember when they tried Georgie at the 9 in San Diego and it backfired. Try stuff like that. I promise I won't criticize like I did the first time. I think I calmed down on that, and I was like, you know what? You were up against it anyway. Georgie at the 9, fine. It's fine, whatever. I get it. They can try whatever at this point. False 9 Rusnak, I'm not opposed to. And then I think I was talking about it earlier, but it's the Osaze. It's the Osaze de Rosario show. It's the Osaze de Rosario show. I'm going to pull up the lineup builder now. Let's build up the line. Let's build the lineup that we want to see the Sounders use this weekend. See how they're going to do it. And then what I'm going to do too is throw down some other novelty lineups that we can have some fun with this. We can have some fun with this. I'm going to make this old reliable 4-2-3-1. And we are going to create the Seattle Sounders pathway to domination without Jordan Morris and Jesus Ferreira. Here we go. Oh my God, is it not letting me zoom in? What is up with that? StreamYard. All right, actually, we can't do the lineup builder. It was doing that with I thought it was specific to Blue Sky that it wouldn't let you zoom, but I can't zoom in. So you're not going to be able to see it. We can talk it out. Osaze de Rosario, I think they're calling him up. They got to. Like, what else? Like, honestly, what else do you do? Who else would be the backup, like for backup for Moose at that position? Without, like, as much as people don't like the Ferreira playing that position, or at least how it's looked so far, that would be the other like feasible option if Moose either subs off or can't go in any game for whatever reason. That's what they would do and probably should do, because just be out of necessity, because you don't have anything else. But with Ferreira now injured, like, it's De Rosario. Yeah, literally zero backup. You know, in theory, the way the depth chart was supposed to work was Jordan as the starter. And then the way I was thinking of it, we were all going off the season that Moose had last year, which he scored 1 goal. He didn't get a lot of minutes, to be fair, but like he was XG merchanting and only ended up with 1 goal. And so that's why I came to the conclusion that the depth chart would be Jordan starting, Ferreira in that spot as probably more of a false 9, but Ferreira in that theoretical spot when Jordan couldn't play or was rotated out or whatever, and then Moose. I think it became apparent earlier in the season that the actual depth chart was Jordan as the starter and then Moose as the number 2. And then you would go to Ferreira if you really had to, which seems like a fine depth chart. You know, you're theoretically 3 deep, but then what happened was Ferreira at that position hasn't worked so far, and now he's injured. Jordan got injured, came back, got injured again. And so now you have Moose playing well. So that is one. I mean, we all just got to, I don't know if any of you are religious, but you should all be praying for the health of Danny Musovski before you go to bed every single night. Moose goes down right now. I don't know who's playing the 9. I might have to do it. You might have to do it. Someone has to do it. Paul Rothrock might have to do it. He straight up might have to do it. They tried to have Georgie do it. They haven't had Rothrock do it. What about De La Vega doing it? What about Ryan Kent doing it? Now we're cooking. Put Ryan Kent up there. Put him up there. I'm serious. I'm serious. Put him up. Just see who cares at this point? The reality is Moose is the week in, week out starter, and they have to do everything they can. The hamstrings of Danny Musovski are the single most valuable commodity in the city of Seattle right now. Like I said, I don't know what goes into this type of stuff medically, but at training every day, they need to be like examining those hamstrings, taking every hamstring related precaution necessary to maintain the integrity of Danny Musovski's hamstrings, because they cannot afford him to pull one of those. Can't happen. Cannot happen. Most important player on the team. Let's go. Bradilio Rodriguez, bring him back. Bring back the 4-2-3-1 with Kent and Pedro on the wings and Ferreira false 9. Yeah, like honestly, for a healthy Ferreira, that might not seem super exciting based on what we've seen so far this season. But I mean, I think that's the best you got. Like if you have healthy Ferreira, but you don't, and there's no way he plays. There's literally no way that he plays. They're going to have to, Danny Musovski's back is also going to be important to keep an eye on, because he's going to be carrying, he's going to have the squad on his back. He's going to have the city on his back. It all comes down to Danny Musovski and his hamstrings with this team right now. Because honestly, with Moose in the lineup, for this game coming up, I feel good about the lineup that they can put out there, even without Jordan and Ferreira, because you got Moose in form. You've got De La Vega. You've got Paul Rothrock, Rusnak, his hamstring or whatever it was it his adductor? Rusnak's theoretically should be fit to start for this game. So band of 3 with De La Vega, Rusnak, and then probably Rothrock for this game. Although I wouldn't mind a Ryan Kent start in this game if he's fit to go 60. But I think you start Rothrock. I think they will start Rothrock. Rothrock, De La Vega, Rusnak, Moose up top. That's nice. That's fine. That's fine. That lineup should be able to bang a couple goals against St. Louis City, even though St. Louis City, I think probably as much as any team as we see come to Seattle this year are probably going to be absolutely hell-bent on not allowing the Sounders to score at all costs, at absolute all costs, even if it means that they're not scoring themselves. That's the vibe I get from them. After talking to Jake, that's still the vibe I get from them. That's the vibe I get from their coach. I think what they're doing this season is very intentional from their coach. I don't know if that's just why he, like, the way he likes to coach, or maybe it's a situation where he feels like his roster has to play like that right now until he gets some more weaponry, and then he's going to bust out the attacking lineup. But I don't think I think you're going to see it. I think you're going to see in the first 20 minutes of this game a distinct lack of interest in scoring the ball. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're going to come out and try and surprise Seattle, sneak attack them, play in a way that they really haven't played all season. They play some actively negative soccer, guys. Like, they really do. Like I said, I don't know if it's not out of necessity. I'm not even like saying that to criticize. I'm just saying that's what I've observed. But they did score 2 goals on LAFC last week, so maybe that gets some confidence going. But I don't think this team's going to try to score. Could be wrong. Don't think this team's going to try and score. Swedish Berhalter. Is that just because he's like conservative and defensive, or is there more to that stylistic comp? Swedish Berhalter is kind of sick. I mean, Berhalter's team scored 2 goals last week. They gave up 7. They gave up 7, but they did score 2 after they were down 7-0. That's not Berhalter ball that you're describing. 7 goals. Best Swedish defender in history. I honestly didn't know that, and that explains everything. That explains everything. That's why I don't think it is like a roster thing. Like, I need to play this way to accommodate the fact that my personnel necessitates it. This is I played defense, and I know the importance of defense. That's how my team's going to play. Oh man, I forgot to ask Jake about the you guys remember when their sporting director Lutz was doing an interview before their expansion season, and they were like, or it's Lutz, I think it's Lutz, you guys haven't signed any designated players yet. Are you planning on signing any designated players? He said, we don't have designated players. We have a designated team. It's not as good as Anthony Hudson's. We are fighting at the bottom with the bottom group of players, but it's pretty good. Got a designated team. The funny thing was, we all clowned on him for saying that. I did. It's a designated team. And then they went out and won the West on like the most magic carpet ride I've ever seen. Like the most classic team, way outperforming their performance numbers I've ever seen. And then it came crashing back down to earth. That's how those things go. Austin FC a few years ago did the same thing. They had this crazy magical year. I think that was their second year in the league, where they made the West final, had a really good season, but all their numbers indicated that it was fluky and that they were overachieving. One of the Fraud Watch originals. And then they came back down to earth. Cruz Azul PK. Oh, I got to look up the score. Who are the Whitecaps? Who are the Whitecaps playing? It looks like it's going to be Cruz Azul. So the team that knocked out the Seattle Sounders is a couple minutes plus stoppage away from earning the right to get destroyed by Brian White in the Vancouver Whitecaps. Apparently, buying Brian White was actually the secret to MLS dominance the whole time. I remember when Brian White got called into January camp earlier this year. Yeah, it was. Poke called him in. And the bots mocked it. The bots said, Brian White? This man is not worthy of the sacred U.S. men's national team. We're above guys like Brian White, an MLS striker. Brian White's the best striker in the pool. Easily. Name me one striker in the pool who's better than Brian White, other than Pepe. Okay, all the Pepe people out there, you can have that. Apparently, he's the most amazing striker of all time. I don't know why he hasn't been saving the USMNT in that case, but a lot of people really rate Pepe. I haven't watched him that much in the last couple years. I know he's got some good numbers in the Eredivisie. So if you want to tell me Pepe, you rate Pepe over Brian White, okay. Literally anyone else. Haji Wright, not better. Who's even in the mix right now? Sargent, not better. Balogun. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Balogun's on fraud watch for sure. If Pochettino has any gumption, any courage, he'll look at this and he'll be like, Brian White is that guy. He is that guy. Moose might be the best USMNT eligible striker out there outside of Brian White. That's where that team is at. And in all seriousness, this version of Brian White might actually help that team. Just look at all the goals he's scoring this year. He's doing it all. Like, I can't think of a facet of the number 9 position that he's not doing at an elite level. His movement, his hold-up play, his combination play, his passing, and his finishing is insane right now. He can't miss. He can't miss. I don't remember the last time he missed. He doesn't. Sebastian Berhalter is the best number 8 in Major League Soccer. Name me a better number 8 in MLS right now as it stands in the 2025 season. I don't think I could do it. He is literally the son of Berhalter is him. He's one of the best footballers I've ever seen. If you think I'm exaggerating, if you think I'm being hyperbolic, watch the Whitecaps in the like any game they have. Watch any game that the Whitecaps have. Watch the CCC final and just watch Berhalter. The guy does it all. He does it all. Two-way midfielder, a dog on defense, a ball winner. He's got long passing. He's got through balls. He's got the pass before the pass. He's scoring goals. He's scoring different types of goals. Inside the box, outside the box. Doesn't matter. Go watch the highlights if you haven't of the second leg of the semifinal with Inter Miami and just watch the goals that they're scoring. Like the way that they're combining, what their buildups look like. They're like passing, their one-touch passing and their combination play was a step ahead of Inter Miami all night. They were beating them like a drum out there. It looked like Inter Miami looked like little kids running around trying to get the ball off a pro soccer player and they like couldn't do it. That's what it was like. So good in possession. So good controlling the tempo. And then when they want to slice and dice you and score on you, they just do it like at will. Pedro Vite, one of the best players in the league. Berhalter, best number 8 in the league. Brian White, best number 9 in the league. Scottish Messi, not even playing. 10 minutes of stoppage time. Come on, man. Don't bail Tigres out. I honestly don't really know like about how good either of those teams are. I mean, okay, I can see they're 3rd and 4th respectively on the Liga MX table, tied on 33 points. So all right. So Vancouver's going to have to go through the top 4 side in Liga MX right now. I'm not even that worried for them, especially if they have it at BC Place. If they have it on the road, I still think they can do it. They look what they did to Monterrey on the road. Team of destiny, apparently. So even if they end up having to travel for it, I think they can do it. But if they have it at BC Place, man, I think they're the favorite. How much better are Cruz Azul and Tigres than Inter Miami, really? I know Inter Miami didn't look great in the Whitecap series. They looked really bad, but how much of that is Inter Miami has been top of the table all season too. They've been up in the Shield with the Shield leaders, and they didn't even touch the Caps. They didn't. That literally was like not even a series. That was a training drill for the Vancouver Whitecaps. So unless Cruz Azul or Tigres are light years better than this Inter Miami side that had Messi and the Barca boys for that series, by the way, unless they're like light years better than that team, which I don't think they are, I think if anything, it's probably a wash. You might even be able to argue that Inter Miami is better than those teams as currently constructed. I'm not saying the Caps are guaranteed to do it, but they definitely can. And if they're hosting, I think they're the favorite. They're hosting, they're definitely the favorite. Like I would not want to be Cruz Azul or Tigres having to go into the fortress, the apparent fortress of BC Place, home of the best team I've ever seen. Watching the Miami game, Berhalter's movement and vision in that second half were just insane. I'm telling you guys, he's on one. He is playing some of the best footy in the league, bar none. It's like not even a discussion. That's how good Berhalter is. He's disgusting. I didn't know he was like that. The Berhalter kid, I considered a average to above average, sometimes like MLS holding mid. I don't know. I didn't think he was like this. I didn't think he was the best number 8 I've seen in Major League Soccer in the last like 5 years. Oh, no shot. He's out for the final because of yellows. Rigged. What? How does that not reset? What? Oh my God. That's such trash. He's the best player on either team other than Brian White, who's on his team, and Pedro Vite, who's on his team. That sucks. That actually really sucks. Tigres playing really well, 2 goals waved off for offside. Okay, so it's kind of a situation where Cruz Azul is trolling a little bit, like poaching a result that they don't necessarily deserve. That's good intel. Thanks for keeping me updated on it. 1 yellow in the first leg, 1 yellow in the... dude, why? That's been a long time gripe of mine with CONCACAF. Is this stupid yellow card accumulation stuff they do. That's so punitive. Like, yeah, if you get 2 yellows in a series, you're out for the next game. That is so stupid. It should just be a red card. What are we talking about? I'm tilted about it because Berhalter needs to be playing in the final for it to be a real final. Oh God, that's another temple massager. It's another temple massager chat. No Berhalter in the final. That ruined my night. Sucks. Such bullshit. The Caps are still going to win. They're still going to win. They haven't had Scottish mess. That's sort of the thing about them is it doesn't matter right now. It doesn't matter who they put out there. Like I said, they put out the B squad in Minnesota, and it looked exactly the same. What is going on? What am I watching? How is what? How are they this good? I didn't see it coming. Usually, when there's a situation like this, there's something you can trace back to and be like, okay, that is why. I got nothing on that other than Jesper Sorensen being the freaking guru and him facilitating this random Berhalter breakout and this ascent of Pedro Vite to the best player I've ever seen. And then Brian White just having the season of his life all at the same time, you know, new coach, new energy, 3 separate guys having insane breakout years all at the same time. It's like the perfect storm, I guess. But then how do they do it even when everyone is like, when people are hurt or rotated? How? Like, say Seattle was in the same situation as them where they were making a legitimate run in CCC, juggling the league season at the same time. They had a semifinal match coming up to play in the final, and you have a league match squeezed in there away at Minnesota. So you know you're going to have to play a second choice 11, which is what Vancouver did in that game. What would your expectations be for that game? I would be like, if you get a 1-1 or a 0-0 in that, I'll take that standing up all day. And I don't think that's like bar lowering or standard lowering or anything like that. I think pretty much any MLS team I could ever think of since I've been around the league, that's how they would think of a game like that. Because typically an MLS squad is just not going to have the requisite depth to maintain their absolute top level when playing their fully second choice 11. Apparently, the Vancouver Whitecaps are immune to that. They can put out any team, any 11 in any game, and they're going to beat you 3-1. So as much as the Berhalter thing sucks because he's so fun to watch right now, and getting to watch him in a game like this with everything on the line, that was going to be so fun. The Concacaf, they're so stupid, man. How have they not changed that rule after having stupid situations like this every year? How do they not recognize that? You want to talk about bad for the game? Sebastian Berhalter being suspended for the CCC final for separate yellow cards in separate games. How is that the threshold? How is 2 yellow cards, 1 in one game and 1 in another game? It's 2 different games. Like what? If there was a red card, then yes, you're suspended for the next game. That's been a rule forever in every league. If it's red, why would a yellow in one game and then a yellow in a completely separate independent game, even if it's in the same series, why should that suspend you? Someone explain that to me. Why? It's a yellow card. It's yellow. It's not red. The whole point of it is that it's like a warning that if you do that again in the same game, you'll get sent off. It by definition isn't a suspendable offense. What are we talking about? I know I'm ranting and I'm on a soapbox, but I'm pissed about this. I wanted to watch Berhalter in the final. He's the best player I've ever seen. I wanted to see him take down Cruz Azul. It's official. It's official. Card accumulation suspensions are a thing in MLS, but that's when you get like 6, isn't it? It's not 2 across 2 games. If you got 6 in CCC from the beginning of the tournament into the final, then sure. Then yeah. If you get 6, then I would accept that. It's not the concept of a card accumulation suspension that I have an issue with. It's getting suspended for getting one yellow card each in 2 separate games, even in the same series, is way too punitive. It's way too punitive. There is no way that that's necessary. It's stupid. It leads to situations like this. It's happened before. Berhalter's not the first one to be victimized by this stupid shit. Every year it happens where a star player gets held out of one of the biggest games because they got 2 yellow cards in a series. There's no rationale for that policy. 6 over the tournament, I can live with that. 6 is a lot. I don't think anyone has ever got, I don't know. I don't know the stat, but I don't think anyone has ever gotten 6 in a CCC series or like a CCC run. You definitely never got 6 in a series. That's impossible. I wish the ref who gave Berhalter the second yellow had done what the ref in the Sounders game in Colorado did. Why didn't he do that? Why didn't he look? Oh, wait, if I give that to him, he's suspended. I'm not going to give that to him. Come on, ref. You got to think about that before you give the yellow. Think about the fact that I personally wanted to watch Sebastian Berhalter in the next game. Doesn't that matter? Shouldn't the fact that I want to watch him play in that game be taken into account? It's whatever. They're still going to win. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. Does anyone know if there's like hosting determination? I honestly don't know. I think if they host, that they win even without Berhalter. Oh my God, his first yellow was a time-wasting yellow. I just don't know what we're doing. I guess, I always complain about these things with Concacaf. It's Concacaf. It's just how it goes. If you want to win it, you got to overcome stuff like that, like not having the best number 8 in the league because you got a yellow card. It's 2 different games. I understand like the concept of a yellow card accumulation suspension when it's over a broader period of time, like I was saying. But it's like, say in the MLS season, say Nuhu gets a yellow card in the Rapids game, then he gets another yellow card in the St. Louis game. Why would he be suspended for the following game? Unless it was an accumulation of that he hit the 6 that you need. But just those 2, why would he be suspended? It's no different. I get that it's a tournament, but like the concept of it being across 2 games, it just doesn't make any sense. Hosting is Cruz Azul or neutral site per CONCACAF. All right. Yeah, they're rigging this. This is rigged. They can't, the Liga MX oligarch can't stand the idea of another MLS squad winning it. So they're putting it, they're making the Caps travel no matter what, and they're taking away the best player on either team. That's fine. They'll go win it anyway. All right, I'm coming up on an hour 45. That was all I had planned for you guys tonight. I wasn't planning on ranting about Sebastian Berhalter's yellow card suspension in the CCC final for like 20 minutes, but that's what I just did. But I'm going to fire up the lo-fi here and begin the process of wrapping it up. So if you got any last questions, topics, agendas, grievances, in chat that you want me to hit before I get out of here, by all means, drop them in. I can't figure out my audio stuff today. I'm a freaking mess. Defiance versus Portland Timbies in T-minus like what, 6 days? Who's going? We'll be out there with Jo doing a live show. We're gonna have it. I'm not gonna spill the guest yet. We had Henry Bronner, Sounders technical director, last time. That was a good interview. And we got another one in that same. It's not Henry again. It's a different guest. It's a different guest, but it's a good one. And we're hoping that we're going to have a little bit better of a setup this time. Last time we were faced outside of a window because of lighting issues. This time we're going to try and face. So if there is an audience there, which I don't really know how many people, like we had people come up to us after the show, but I don't know if they came for it or if they just happened to see us. But we're hoping that more people will come this time specifically to be an audience for the live show. And if we get decent turnout with that, we'll for sure make it interactive, take questions from you guys, and anyone's free to come say hi, chop it up with us. I was pleasantly surprised at how many people, even at the last game, which the whole live show idea was relatively short notice and not like super aggressively promoted. Like we promoted it, but not for an especially long period of time and not that aggressively. And we still had a lot of people who came up to us after the show and at the game itself. It was a lot of fun. So I really encourage everyone to roll. I see what made part of what made the last one so magical was that they beat the Oakland Roots. I just don't know how possible it is for an MLS Next Pro team to be an actual MLS first team. I don't know. That's the degree of difficulty on that is insanely high. It's not just because of the experience factor. That is one thing. You're going against guys that have been playing this game professionally for years. It's the physical disparity. You could see it against the Oakland Roots, even the Oakland Roots, like how big their guys were compared to the Defiance kids. And they weren't very good, so they couldn't capitalize on it. But it was notable, just like how big of a fundamental size differential that there is. And it's going to be even more pronounced in this game. And it's also the Timbies. If De Rosario can score 5+ goals against Portland over 2 weeks, I'll lose my mind. It might come to it. He might be playing in that Timbies game in Portland. No, Hunch Punch. Good question for clarification. Shows at Starfire 2. Shows at Starfire 2. We were doing it at the location is it's called Watershed Pizza. If you walk up the Starfire into the Starfire lobby where those indoor fields are, and you go upstairs. I didn't even know this. I knew so there's that coffee shop that has like the deck on the floor below. And that's where I thought we were recording last time. It turns out there's a whole pizza joint up top. And that's where they let us set up last time. That's where we're going to do it again. And like I said, it'll be a better setup. But live show at Starfire. So all you got to do is get your ticket to the game. Roll to Starfire. Head on up to Watershed Pizza. Get a slice of za. Get a pint. Sit down, watch the live show, hang out with us, ask questions, whatever. ask our guest questions. One thing that was cool with Henry Browner, which happened kind of in the moment, was we were taking questions from chat for him, and he answered a couple. But if we got actual IRL people there, I'm sure the guest that we have, who's a nice guy, again, not going to spill who it is yet, I'm sure he'd be happy to like take questions and stuff. So it'll be fun, interactive event, maybe a little more informal than a typical show because we'll have people there. Everyone pull up to Starfire. Who do you think we slotting in for Ferreira? I was saying it earlier, but the band of three, in my estimation, you're going to have a Rothrock winger. You're going to have a Rusnak 10. You're going to have a De La Vega winger. You're going to have Moose up top. I think that's the squad, unless they start Ryan Kent, which I would be down with. I feel like Rothrock's in good enough form that you can start him in this game and then bring Kent off the bench. Definitely don't do anything that's going to result in a Ryan Kent hamstring situation. Okay? Keep Moose and Ryan Kent encased in glass. Do not let anything happen to their hamstrings. For the love of God. Whatever you got to do. If you got to bring in like the top hamstring specialist in the United States to maintain the integrity of their hamstrings, just do it. Moose and Ryan Kent, a lot rides on them these next few weeks. Pick one. Defiance win next match or Seattle wins a group stage match at the Club World Cup. Oh, that is a good would you rather. I'm going to give an answer to this. I'm going to give a definitive answer to this. Oh, man, that's hard. Straight up, man. Straight up, I think I take the Defiance victory. Here's why. If the Defiance beat the Timbies first team, that is the funniest result in the history of the organization. And nothing can ever like overshadow that. That is the apex for me. That is footballing nirvana at its finest. If the Defiance win this game against the Timbies, which I'm trying to keep my expectations in check on that. But I don't think it would get better than that. The thing about the Club World Cup group stage match is you get so much money for that. You get so much money for that could really benefit the team. So that's why it's hard to say. But as someone who's in it for the content, I will take the content of the Defiance beating the Timbies first team and then write off the Club World Cup results as hey, you're playing PSG. I know some people hate that mentality. They say you go into every game to win. You should go into the club. What are we doing if we're not trying to win the Club World Cup? What ambition do we really have if we don't beat PSG? I'm not gonna. If you want to crash out over it, if they lose to PSG, feel free. That's your prerogative. I'm not going to. It's PSG. It's Atletico Madrid. Those teams are pretty good. They're pretty good. They got a lot of money invested in them. If you lose to a team like that, so be it. Go out there, compete as hard as you can. Don't embarrass yourself. Compete to the best of your ability. Let the chips fall where they may. The squad goes out there and does that against PSG and Atletico, Botafogo. I'll live with whatever the result is. If they look like total fools out there and get slammed 7-0 and everyone's clowning on the team, that would suck. It is what it is. Those other teams, they're not in the Club World Cup, okay? Should play Noah's bloodbath clip. That really, I think that one like explains it. Who's getting loaded down? Sosa, Stu, Georgie, RBW, Paul Rothrock. I don't think Stu has to get loaned down. There might be some situation. I don't know. Stu was playing in the Stu's been playing for Defiance, so he'll be playing. I've been campaigning for him to get some run on the first team. Was hoping this was the year that they would finally do that. They got to do it eventually. You can't just say that he's too skinny forever. That's not going to fly for me. It's not going to fly. There's a lot of skinny soccer players. A lot of skinny soccer players all over the world. There's a lot of skinny soccer players on Seattle's team. Yeah, he's skinny. So what? Let him at least try. But anyway, Stu's going to be playing in the game for sure. I think they might have Georgie do it. He played for them, right? Like in their last game, didn't he? Rothrock now. They even asked Andy T, yes. Rothrock, they even asked him like if he would want to do that. And I thought he gave a good answer, which was like, no, like those guys earned that game. I would just be sliding in and like basically benefiting off all the work they put in. If they're going to beat that team, like it's going to be them doing it, not me. Which I think is like the selfless and right way to look at it. He said he was envious that they get to play in it, but he wants them to play in it. And even if he did want to play in it, Rothrock's literally like one of the most important players on the first team right now. You can't risk him. You can't risk him even in a game like this. Like, you need Rothrock incredibly badly right now. As I always said, the most important players on the Seattle Sounders are Danny Musovski, Paul Rothrock, and Osaze de Rosario. Injury thing sucks, man. It really sucks. I feel bad for Jordan. Anytime a guy just gets back and then has a re-aggravation situation like that, you feel for him. Sucks for him. Sucks for the squad. It's frustrating that we're 6 weeks away minimum and realistically more like 8 or 9 weeks from getting to see this team anywhere close to full capacity now. But at the same time, that's kind of just MLS. I always try and prepare myself for this stuff before the start of the season. Like, remember the vibes, how good they were in preseason? Like, the team's looking pretty good, but it seems like everyone's healthy. Like, they're going to get to do all this rotation that'll keep guys fresh. Maybe that'll mitigate some of the hamstring FC stuff, and they can make it through this season reasonably healthy. No, it just never happens. It never happens. And I will tell you guys, it's not just Seattle. It's not. Most teams have to deal with stuff like this. That's sort of the life in MLS. The only team that is immune to it, apparently, is the Vancouver Whitecaps. They cannot be stopped no matter who's playing. They're the greatest team this league has ever seen. They're certainly the best team in the league right now. They can withstand whatever injury, whatever rotation, and still beat your ass every week. Everyone else is beholden to the same rules of MLS. So, Lone Christian down. Is that what you're saying? I am looking forward to that game. Here's one thing I will say. Everything I said about a next pro team playing against an MLS first team is true. It's not impossible, but it's very, very unlikely. But I will say the Starfire factor is real. It's not easy. It kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's an equalizer. It can be an equalizer because of just how crazy it plays, how narrow it is, with the dimensions and the environment, how rowdy the crowd is, which I don't think there's going to be as many people at this game as a Sounders first team Open Cup game. But I think like the crowd at the Oakland Roots one, it wasn't that many people there, but the people that were there were getting after it. It was rowdy. I think there's going to be more people at this game. So that's another factor that makes it does close that gap. I just think the gap might be so large in terms of experience, roster spending, and then just raw physical size that the odds are still stacked against them, even with the Starfire factor. You just never know what could happen at Starfire. You don't. Oh, I see. You're I was like, is he advocating for a CR7 loan down for the Tacoma Defiance Open Cup? That's a hot take. I got you. Yeah. Do you guys know that Christian, I think he has 5 assists this year? Let me look this up real quick. People have pointed out that he's had a bit of an up and down year, like maybe performance wise, like week to week. But in terms of the stat sheet, he's like kind of popping off. 1 goal, 4 assists for Christian this year. So he's on pace for one of his most like productive stat sheet seasons. Oh man, god damn it. I keep forgetting that the stats pages on our website are all messed up. So I don't even know what's real anymore. He might have more assists. They messed up the assist somehow and they won't fix it. I don't think Portland's going to play their full first team roster, but they're going to play their guys. It's like at the point in the tournament, like at least some of their guys, it's at the point in the tournament where you're getting closer and closer to the trophy where it's like you don't really mess around. I think people might be expecting them to put out like a total joke lineup for this game. I don't think they're going to. It's going to be rotated for sure. They're going to play some of their backups, but I would not be surprised at all if you see at least a couple of their big guns. They're trying to like make absolutely. Think about how we're thinking of this game, like house money, but the opportunity of Tacoma potentially winning this is so tasty. That's how we're thinking of it. And you know, all the Defiance kids, they've been plotting. They've been grinding film. They've been talking to each other on the training ground about how they're going to do this. You know they are. They absolutely think that they can win this game. And you know the coach, whoever it is, can't remember his name. You know he's gonna be telling them that they will win this game. And so Portland, that's the thing. They might get paranoid. They cannot let that happen. They can't put out a lineup that risks at all them being perceived as like punting this game, or that they think might end up putting them in a situation where they could lose this game in any way. They can't. They cannot have that. They cannot lose this game. That's the beautiful thing about it. All the pressure is on them. All the pressure is on them. They have everything to lose in terms of the tournament, but also their their reputation. Tacoma Defiance got nothing to lose. That can be a powerful thing. Jesus is topping out on assists. Hervé DSA. Yeah, hopefully I said that right. Thank you. All right. I'm going to call it right there. Thank you as always, everyone, for tuning in. Always really enjoy these Under the Lights streams. They might not put up our hottest stats, but it's my favorite crowd. These are my sickos right here. Like the video, please. I have a feeling this one might not have that many likes yet. So if you're still here, please like the video. If you're here and you haven't subbed to the channel, I don't know what you're doing, but do that. Like, comment, subscribe, rate 5 stars, all that stuff. We'll hit a post-game live. Okay, we'll hit a post-game live, but probably Sunday, like Sunday AM. I think right now that seems to be the best way to do the home games. I'm just really not done until too late to feasibly do it on Saturday night. It's myself. So basically, if Noah can't run it, then it's pretty hard to, like, I can join him on Saturday night if Noah's like running it. We're taking calls and stuff, but I can't really run it solo that effectively. So if we don't do one Saturday night, definitely we'll fire one up and take some calls Sunday morning. I can commit to that. Even if Noah can't. Sunday night. The thing is, I kind of want to do it as close to the game as possible. I'm doing something Sunday night, but not so late that I couldn't do it. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Maybe Saturday night, probably Sunday morning, maybe some different time on Sunday. Follow me on Blue Sky. I'll let you guys know when it's happening, but we will do a post-game live. We'll take some calls. And then Nico and I will be back at it 8 a.m. on Monday for Lobbing Scorchers kickoff. See you guys then. Peace. Don't want to give money to the oligarchs, but love Lobbing Scorchers? Do we have a deal for you? MLS Season Pass is back on Apple TV with access to every single MLS match, including Leagues Cup and the entire Audi MLS Cup playoffs with no blackouts. It's not just the games, you get total access to the pre- and post-match MLS 360 whip-around show in both English and Spanish, and get live look-ins and highlights from around the league, as well as full match replays and recaps. Now, you can support our show by visiting lobbingscorchers.com/Apple TV to purchase your subscription and support our show.
Lobbingscorchers.com/Apple TV. Please, don't let the oligarchs win.